what's up? I'm the Zim. This is the Zim video, and this is a little pros and cons of sleeping on the floor. So it's inspired by, this video is kind of inspired by the idea of like Japanese kind of sleeping traditions with futons and floor-based sleeping. I live in San Diego, California. I'm from Seattle, Washington. I gave up a traditional bed, I'd say about a little over 6 years ago. I started sleeping on the floor about 3 years ago. The time between giving up the traditional bed till sleeping on the floor was I was sleeping on a IKEA style, hide-a-bed type of couch bed situation, which I could extend into like a queen size or just leave it smaller as the couch, which I ended up doing. At first I was pretty diligent about making the bed every day. As time went on, I was like, I'll just sleep on half the couch side of it and not worry about it. And then when I moved to San Diego, my living situation changed a little bit. And originally I was sleeping in the living room on that same couch, and using this room I'm in right now as all studio space, all art making and video production and audio production. And I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and the other bedroom was dedicated to my kids. They shared that room. As time went on, my mom actually moved in with me, and she took the other bedroom and shared it with my daughter, and then I decided to share this room with my son and not have anyone sleep in the living room because it just felt awkward that I didn't want that situation to be like sleeping when other people wanted to be doing stuff. And so I was just like, okay, nobody's sleeping in the living room. And it wasn't possible to get a traditional bed for this space because I wanted to maintain the studio aspect of it. So me and my son both, when my son lives with me here, we both sleep on one of these trifold memory foam mattresses. And so that's kind of the situation. So for the last 3 years, we've been sleeping on these trifold memory foam mattresses, which have been working out pretty good. So couple of reasons why did I decide to get rid of a traditional bed, which plays into kind of the pros of deciding to sleep on the floor and do this kind of situation, which originally back 6 years ago, getting rid of a traditional bed in my bedroom, because the main thing is space, right? When you have a traditional bed, regardless of the size, you really need to dedicate a space that bed always lives in. So when I was in Seattle, I needed more space to do art making, and I didn't want, and I still had my kids, so I wanted to maintain my living room. I didn't want to make my living room into a space that had all my stuff in it. So if people came over, I don't like it when people like pick up my guitars and mess with my art making stuff or my music making stuff. So I was like, I don't want to have my stuff that I don't want people messing with in a space that's more community space. So I decided, I'll just sleep in the community space because that's like doesn't affect the the daytime in the same sense. So that's what I did, and I made my bedroom in Seattle basically an art studio, a creative studio that I could work out of. And there were times as well before that I on the other side of it, I was having people come into my art. So I do podcasts as well, and where I was recording the podcast was in my bedroom at the time. And it just felt awkward to have my bed right there while I was interviewing somebody, and I didn't like that feeling. So there's just a lot of reasons why I was like, maybe I'll just bite the bullet, get rid of my bed. And then I found that IKEA sofa bed thing, and that worked out for a while until it was time to move to San Diego. And then when I moved down here, I decided to go with this trifold memory foam mattress idea. At first, I was sleeping directly on the floor just with some blankets, but I knew that wasn't going to be a long-term solution. But I was like, I wanted to maintain this ability to work in this space as a studio. So how can I do that? And I found on Amazon these memory foam mattresses, and they're actually really comfortable. I have no problem with it. I actually would, if I could find something even smaller. Like this is what's it called, a double or twin, right? The smallest kind of mattress size is what it is, and I actually don't feel like I need even this much space for sleeping. I would cut off even another 6 inches or so, and I think that could be fine. But they don't, I'd have to custom make that. And then the folding up part, like, well, I'll demonstrate how it folds up in a minute, so you can see that as well. So the bottom line is really the main benefit to a sleeping on the floor, like, is the space, and that, like, being able to have more space because you're not dedicating a space exclusively to your bedroom all the time. Like, if you live in a small apartment like I kind of do, and you have a lifestyle that you want to do things within your apartment like I do, like I want to actually have a studio space to work on music and art and other things, having a situation where I can get rid of a bed in some way. I mean, there's a lot of different versions of doing it. I just chose this one at this time. I'm actually considering building a loft bed in the corner there, like a custom loft bed, which is also would be narrower than a twin size. I don't need this traditional big twin size, because eventually, for me, I'm actually planning on doing like van life, moving toward that direction with my life. And the smaller I can make my bed, the better off I'll be, because I want to be able to put it in my van and see what that looks like. I know that's a whole nother story with how that would work. But for living in a house or an apartment and you need more space, sleeping on the floor is a good thing to consider. The cons, the negative side, the potential downside of sleeping on the floor, there's the two main downsides I could think of right now are you have to put it away every day, which can be a burden sometimes. I do it. I have no, the way my situation is set up, I have a desk right here that I cannot access if I don't fold up my bed. And then this table right here is a standing work table that I do a lot of work at, and this is like where I work, is I stand right where I'm sitting right now to work on this table. So I have to fold up the bed every day in order to be able to actually use this room like I want to. I rarely ever don't fold it. The only time I might not fold it up is if I don't know. I rarely ever don't fold it up because I don't like the way it feels to have it still here, when it just takes up a little bit too much space to leave it not folded up. So there's probably reasons every once in a while that I don't fold it up. So that's kind of a burden, because the biggest way it is a burden is if you get tired in the middle of the day and you want to take a nap or you want to rest. You either have to unfold it again and set it up, or you have to go into a different room. But there is, to get kind of like a horizontal nap in, I do nap on it when it's folded up, and I'll show you how I do that too. But I do fold it up. When it's folded up, just sitting in the corner, I'll sit on it and kind of lean over and nap on it. So I do use it that way. It becomes kind of a seat when it's folded up. The other main con that I can think of is, depending on your, the quality of the house or apartment you're living in, dealing with bugs is a problem. I live in San Diego, California, and ants are a really big problem they're a really big issue in San Diego, and trying to combat ants is really difficult. I live in an apartment with other people, and how other people's units and how their lifestyles sometimes can attract insects. Dealing with a landlord and how on top of it they are with combating those situations. So I personally run into the issue of having ants crawl on me at certain times of the year, and I do the best I can to get rid of them and seal up this room so they don't get in. But it's still, there's the ant colonies are humongous in San Diego, in California, so it's really hard to completely eradicate ants. So when you're on the floor, you run a greater chance of other insects to kind of crawl on you at night. So that's just something to be considered if you're really, really I don't know, what's the word, an insectophobe or whatever, that may be something to consider as you're considering this whole idea. So that's that. Let's now I'm gonna just show you. I'm gonna fold up the bed and show you what it looks like. Fold it up and talk to you a little bit more. All right, let's do it. Alright, so this is what it looks like when it's all folded up, and this is actually how I use it a lot when it is folded up. I sit on it here, I'll relax, I'll read oftentimes in this spot, like when I'm working on homework. Do this. Sometimes I'll throw my pillow behind me like this so it's, you know, comfortable against the wall. Sit here and read. And to give you an example of how I nap on it, I'll typically take one or both of my pillows and throw it on top of my big pile of blankets, and I'll just kind of sit here, lean over like this, and fall asleep. I'll just fall asleep like this, and this is kind of how I know it's probably eventually gonna destroy my back or something, but that's just how I do it. I'm gonna move the camera in closer. So there you have it. That's pretty much it. That's the kind of the pros and cons from my perspective. There's one other thing that I didn't mention during the cons part is the potential of, like, I'm single, so, you know, potentially having someone come over, partner, spend the night with you hasn't been an issue for me. But if you're single and you're dating, that may be something that, you know, potential dates won't be into you because of the fact that you don't have a traditional bed. But also that could be a good filter for people that just aren't a match for you and your lifestyle. So that's something to be considered. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's worth mentioning. But yeah, I think that covers it. Let me just try to recap real quick. I mean, it seemed like there's only one major pro to the whole thing is space. You know, I can't think of any other pros, but that one pro is a big one, right? So you're getting more space. You're not having to devote a big chunk of your space that you have to a fixed bed that's always going to be there, and you only use it to sleep on. So how can you take advantage of the space you have? One of the ways to do that is to get rid of a traditional bed and sleep on the floor or whatnot. So that's the main pro to the whole situation. And then the cons, having to put it away every day, which can be kind of a burden, and then also potential bugs that crawl around at, you know, because of wherever you might live, and then having a partner that's not into it. So those are the 3 cons and 1 pro. So like I said, if you have any questions for me, I've been doing this for, I think I mentioned, for 3+ years, sleeping on the floor, and I don't plan to stop anytime soon. I'm trying to get more and more minimal with my lifestyle. I'm not trying to buy a bigger apartment or a bigger house that I will have a bedroom one day. I'm trying to go into more of a van life situation anyway, so my bed situation is going to be unique and different from probably for the rest of my life. So that's going. And so yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any questions for me, be sure to post in the comments, and if you enjoyed this, thumb it up, and of course subscribe to the channel. I'd love your support. All right, until next time, be loving, kind, and patient. Peace.